what happens when you have a piece of shit computer and you have to allocate like 10 minutes to getting it to start in the morning.
We'll work on it. Come on, give me that. Should we get started? I got caught up watching this 3D printed human organs looking like regular organs. That was my morning. All right,
I started on.
Go ahead.
I started on. I don't know if you watched the OJ thing on Netflix, but they have a Versace one now.
Ooh. I did watch the OJ one, but I'll watch Versace. What's going on, everybody? Friday, January 18th. We made it through the week. We've got 7 game slate today. That's oddly small for a Friday, but I'll take it. 3 garbage games at 7 o'clock, but it really opens up in the late night hammer. Adam, how did your Thursday go?
At this point, I'm going to just start comparing it to previous days, which means it went great. It doesn't mean I made money. It just means that I didn't lose as much.
Oh, that's smart. That's
smart. How about you?
Ran in place, which is, what I would consider a success on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
I was looking pretty good, and then I needed a little bit more out of Schroeder, and he kind of, was terrible and played only 19 minutes, which...
Yeah, got hurt in the second quarter.
Yeah. So it's not going to get you there.
I had too much Brandon Ingram. Luke Walton decided to play most of the fourth quarter with Svi.
Yeah. I had quite a bit of Ingram as well. And Ball and Kuzma, the good parts.
Yeah.
And if you played Kyle Lowry yesterday, don't be upset. Went according to plan. You didn't get a ceiling game, but you got everything you were looking for. Same for Victor Oladipo. So pump the brakes, people. Be less crazy. Understand what's happening. Alrighty. Let's do normal housekeeping. NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first monthly package. Any package we have, if you're interested. Doesn't work on annual packages, so you can't get 50% off an annual. Don't think you're pulling one over on us. But 50% off, you can't really beat it. Including Fantasy Cruncher, you can pick anyone you want. Gets access to all of the content that we have, rankings, projections, ownership projections, everything we got. As usual on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we are brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. If you go to bit.ly/Awesemo, the link is being dropped in the chat right now. I should just copy and paste this instead of typing it every day. Anyway, if you follow that link, you can get $10 on a $10 deposit, $20 on 100, and $50 on 200. And Thrive Fantasy is a new DFS site that's based on player props. So you pick an over and under based on points, rebounds, assists, combinations of those. There's a list of 20 props. You have to pick your favorite 10. At the end of the show, Adam and I will go through some of our favorites. We'll go through 5. So tune in for that. Alrighty. Well, time to dive into this slate, I guess. 7 games is nice. I feel like that's a nice, manageable Friday.
Yeah, I feel like we could just start at the 10 o'clock games.
It's probably not the worst idea in the world. But here we go. The Boston Celtics hosting the Memphis Grizzlies. Celtics 108.25 implied total. Grizzlies 97.75. Lowest point total on the slate, including the Cleveland Cavaliers today. Not awesome. Monster pace down spot for Boston. I don't get the sense that we're going to have a ton to talk about on the Boston side. Kyrie Irving now back up to 9,600 on FanDuel, 9K on DK, $39 on Yahoo. Does anything at all stand out for you for Boston?
No. Just, you said it, just a really unappealing matchup here in terms of pace, in terms of Memphis's defense. You have blowout risk, not that you're predicting it, but when it's already just a shitty spot, like that just adds to it.
Yeah.
6K Al Horford, I guess, is okay, but certainly not going to be a priority for me. There's nothing here that I expect to be in any significant percentage of my lineups.
I completely agree. It's just every single thing that could be going against the game is going against this game. Everybody's healthy for Boston now, so they're in theory 12 deep, but really, probably 9 to 10. Playing Memphis is not great. 1, they're solid defensively. 2, they're slow as shit. There's just I don't even know what I would want to go to. So
Right.
this will probably be the game that goes like 130 to 122 or something.
Yeah, I'll say this will be the double overtime game. But yeah, and as far as the pace goes too, and I don't think we talk about it very often, but it's something worth keeping in mind. Like when there's a fast team and a slow team, a lot of times, we'll say, oh, it's a pace down spot, and it is, but then you'll see the slower team just play faster and look to just run more.
Yeah.
Both of these teams are slow. Like Memphis is slower, but
Yeah.
it's not like Memphis might come out here and just match Boston's pace and it becomes a track meet or something.
No, I have Boston 21st in pace, Memphis dead last.
Right.
So these are two of the bottom tier teams in terms of pace. Kyrie had 53 the last time they played. I'm not even stoked if that happens today at these prices.
Right. Yeah, 9K he's fine, but I can promise there's going to be guys that I like more.
Yeah. I don't have anybody that I can point out as a no-brainer. I mean, Marcus Morris continues to be underpriced on FanDuel. He's 4,900. Underpriced relative to his price on DraftKings, but not necessarily in the grand scheme of things. Let me see where I have him on. I loaded up the sim before I started here. So Marcus Morris is still only 13th overall at power forward. He gets into the top 4 at power forward today 15% of the time, but I mean, if you're playing 150, you have a couple bites at this apple. Otherwise, there's no reason to continue to talk about Boston.
Yeah. So, and looking at their DraftKings pricing, they're pretty much all in that range where it's like, oh, well, they're not too expensive. They're not too cheap, which means that I'll probably end up with pieces of them. And it's not like, oh, that was a terrible play. I can't believe it got there. But it's just there's no way they become a priority unless people get ruled out.
I got Kyrie at 12th on FanDuel. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
9,600 is a healthy price tag to pay off in a tournament. Go to the Memphis side. A little bit more to like here. Gasol, 7,200 FanDuel, 6,800 on DraftKings, $27 on Yahoo. How do we want to manage Marc Gasol? What do we think of him? I mean, his price has never been lower. Is he healthy? Does he care?
Is he healthy? No. Does he care? Not sure. But the thing that I think is most important is, so we know that there are health concerns. We know there are concerns with Gasol right now. But if you look at any reasonable sample of him playing, whether it's since the start of January, whether it's over the last month, since the start of December, he's not Marc Gasol of prior years, but he's still a point per minute guy.
Yep.
Playing 34 minutes if the game's competitive at a $6,800 price tag. He becomes a viable option even with those concerns because the price tag's gotten so low.
I completely agree. It's not sexy to take Marc Gasol today. I've got him in for 32 minutes right now. He grades out as my 4th best center in a virtual tie with Julius Randle. But, I mean, that's a guy that I'm going to want to have some of. And I would imagine he does not garner a ton of ownership, particularly on FanDuel where you're only getting one center. I wouldn't expect a lot of people to be going to him. He's a guy that I would most certainly be above the field on. I just think he's going to end up being underowned.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he was 3% on DraftKings last game. Now that could in part be because DraftKings made shit up and said he was questionable. But still, people just aren't going to roster him. And so it's not a guy where you need to have 30% of him to be overweight.
Right. Yeah, I think he looks great today. Well, as great as he can. And this is very similar to yesterday with, someone like Oladipo, where we can't just look at, the last couple days. And even if you want to do that, he's still a point per minute guy looking to play 30 plus minutes. And he'll be at lower ownership. You're not going to get Marc Gasol at these sorts of prices all that often. So if you need to take something from this game, I think Gasol is one of the first places to look. Conley at 8K, 7K on DraftKings, 29 on Yahoo. A little bit more of a tough sell for me. I'd imagine I would not have much Mike Conley.
Yeah, I mean, the price tag's okay in a vacuum. I just think there's going to be better spots. He does actually grade out a little bit better for me on DraftKings.
Yeah.
Like that than Gasol does.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
I mean, very, very close. I just haven't projected for an extra point at $200 more.
Yeah, I have Gasol. Actually, I have Gasol a half point ahead of Conley. But Conley's price relative to FanDuel significantly better.
Yeah.
The one guy that we need to talk about, and I think it's more interesting on FanDuel than DraftKings, Jaren Jackson, 5,600 on FanDuel, 5,600 on DK, $19 on Yahoo. I love Jackson on FanDuel. It's terrifying because you never know if he's going to play 22 minutes or 33 minutes, and there's not really any way to predict that. He's either in foul trouble or playing a ton. I like to bet on playing a ton, so I've got him in for 29 minutes right now, and that makes him a fantastic value. What do you want to do with Jaren Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, I have him at 30 right now just because if he's not in foul trouble, he probably plays like 34. And when he is in foul trouble, he obviously plays less. I'm getting him kind of surprisingly, but even at 30 minutes on DraftKings at 5,600, I'm not really getting him. Like I end up with Gasol and Conley as better plays. Yeah, so I mean, if I get Jackson, that's fine, but I don't think this will be one of those days where I take a huge Jaren Jackson stand and then just bitch about how dumb I am later.
I will take that stand on FanDuel, and it's pretty dramatic. He's the number one power forward for me relative to salary.
What's his price down to there?
What? I didn't hear what you said.
What's his price at?
Same as DraftKings. 56.
Oh wow! So that's a $1,000 drop since last game.
Was he 66?
Yeah.
Let me look at it.
I'd been completely ignoring him on FanDuel for a while.
Yeah, you are right. He was 66 and 65 for a nice stretch. Yeah, so he's down to 56. He is number one for me. Finishes as a top 4 value at power forward 40% of the time. Highest number out of anybody. He should be a core play as far as core plays go in that sort of discussion. For 5,600, you're going to have a hard time finding someone that provides more on a per dollar basis than Jaren Jackson on FanDuel tonight. Get it. What about JaMychal Green? 5,600 FanDuel, same as Jaren Jackson, 53 on DK, 14 on Yahoo. I can't imagine taking JaMychal Green if Jaren Jackson's sitting there with the exact same price tag, or in theory the same price tag. But
right, yeah. So I'm trying to figure out their rotation from last game, and as usual, it just good luck. It is worth noting that. So we saw JaMychal Green close alongside Jaren Jackson a couple of games ago. And then in their last game against Milwaukee, which was not a particularly competitive game, you had at about the 8.5 minute mark of the fourth quarter, Jaren Jackson subbed in alongside JaMychal Green. They played a few minutes together, and then the Grizzlies emptied the bench. So it seems like they were going down that route again of Jaren Jackson and JaMychal Green closing alongside each other, which is obviously good for both of them in terms of their minutes. So, I have trouble getting to a $5,300 JaMychal Green now that the price tag came up, but I do think it at least bodes well for his playing time.
Okay. I got ownership in nothing crazy on DraftKings or FanDuel for the Boston side. Outside of Marcus Smart at 18% on DK. I get it. 4,400 is a relatively small price tag for him. On the Memphis side, we have Marc Gasol at 9% on FanDuel, 14% on DK. I'm very comfortable having more than 9% on FanDuel. Conley is similar.
14 on DK seems probably around where I'd end up.
Yeah. Jaren Jackson on FanDuel, 11%. I would certainly want to have more than that. He's at 1% on DK. Awesome. You and I both know that you'll have more than 1%.
Yeah.
Whether that's intentional or unintentional is besides the point, but yeah. we just know that. Do you want any of the punts here? Gatsby, Temple, Mack. Even Holiday starting didn't matter for him. So
yeah, I mean, he got in foul trouble early, but then still just never came back in the first half. He got there on 4 steals and I think a block. Gatsby's minutes, man, like 36 minutes against Milwaukee. I don't know what to do with that because I don't trust this rotation at all. I don't trust Gatsby to be playing like 28 minutes a night or anything like that. Jackson being in foul trouble obviously helped him. Holiday being in foul trouble helped him. I really am not sure what to do with him.
What do you have him in for right now?
Like 20?
I have him in for 22 right now, and I could see some wiggle room. I think that's enough that at 3,700 on DraftKings, you work him in. But like, I think there's enough there where he could conceivably get to 26 to 28. You're not shocked by that, and if that's the case, you want to have some in a GPP for 3,700 on DraftKings. At 4,300, like you're better off probably just punting further.
Yeah. I mean, like I'll probably end up just bumping him to like 24 minutes or something, just assuming something goes wrong somewhere, and he seems to be the guy that's going to pick it up at multiple positions.
I'm with you. There's not really anything for the DraftKings side that stands out as like majorly appealing in this game.
No.
FanDuel would be Gasol, Jaren Jackson, and that is probably it. I don't have anything else.
No, me neither.
Cool. Moving on. The Detroit Pistons hosting the Miami Heat. Oh, God. Look, here we go. Do you see that Wayne Ellington played in this most recent game, too? Not only are they already deep, but Wayne played 8 minutes.
No, I actually haven't seen that.
Sorry, we'll get to. I saw it this morning when I was doing minutes, and I wanted to lose my mind.
I hate this team so much.
So do I. Pistons 2-point favorites. We'll start on the Pistons side because that part's easier. Blake and Drummond, we'll say 5% own each of them on FanDuel, 11% on DraftKings. Do you want either guy?
The DraftKings prices are nice. Anytime you get Blake below 9K and you get Drummond in like that in the low 8s, there's certainly upside there. Obviously the same caveats of the center position is always stacked, and it's not a great matchup in terms of pace. There's a couple games at the end of the night that obviously we'll love, but the price tags are fine, so I'm sure I'll end up with some.
Yeah, I have Drummond 9th at center on FanDuel right now, and Blake at a preposterous 18th. I have no interest whatsoever in either of these two guys, and accordingly, I have no interest in anything from the Pistons. Reggie Bullock, 4,400, getting a little love on DraftKings, 17% ownership. There's not a lot of value out there yet today, so that doesn't totally shock me, but I don't think that I want any part of the Pistons. Do you?
No, not really. I mean, I have Bullock grading out as a perfectly fine point per dollar play. He's just one of those guys where the chances of him winning you a tournament are much, much lower. Or not even winning. The chances of him putting up a score where like you wish you had more of him in a tournament is just much, much lower than the chances of him hitting like exactly 5.5x or 6x or whatever.
Yeah. It's an unappealing game with a low implied total and a slow down spot for the Pistons, and none of the Pistons are really any good outside of Drummond and Blake, and both of those guys are overpriced, I'd say. So now, again, there's always ceiling to Drummond and Blake, but Drummond really hates Whiteside. Maybe he smashes. It all depends on how long Whiteside's on the floor. But let's get to it. The Miami Heat. And I want to make sure that I get this right. Miami Heat played on the 15th. They had 12 guys see the floor, including Wayne Ellington for the first time since December 23rd. Wayne played 8 minutes. Waiters played. Magruder, Olynyk. Okay.
Ellington at least wasn't in the rotation.
What'd you say?
Ellington at least was not in the rotation. He played 8 minutes, down by 38 points in the fourth quarter.
Which is still even incredible to me.
Yeah. But I mean, at least like we can just still DNP him today.
Yes. I did not give him any minutes today. That does not make the process any easier. I still have 11 guys for 240 minutes. The only piece of this that is easy is I know that the total of Hassan Whiteside plus Bam Adebayo has to equal 48.
Right.
Otherwise, this shit can go any direction. And even then, that number could be 28-20 one way or 20 and 28. Like,
Core Machine, they played 2 minutes alongside each other last game.
Did they really?
I don't know. Popcorn Machine's been wrong, but
yeah, that's their totals match. Like it was 26 and 23, and this is just everything I have is like rounded off and stuff in this table. But even still,
Popcorn Machine has it at 49.5 minutes total.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's kind of funny since that's like the one constant.
Yeah, and that could just be a function of the blowout too. Like,
right? Yeah,
you just stop giving a shit. I have Whiteside and Bam splitting time here, 24 across the board. I don't really know what else to do there. I don't really have any confidence in going any other direction. Josh Richardson, 6,400 on FanDuel, $20 on Yahoo is probably the only place I see that makes any sort of sense. I cannot, in good conscience, prioritize a single person on here. Can you?
No. I'm with you as far as center goes. I have Whiteside at 26 and Bam at 22. It's totally a guessing game.
Yeah.
It's just really I gave Whiteside a couple extra minutes because I think that he still has that monster ceiling where if he gets 30 minutes, he can at 6,500 he goes nuts. But no, I'm with you. Like Josh Richardson's underpriced. His minutes are consistent. You know what you're getting from him. Everyone else, we don't know. It's a 7-game slate. There's some appealing games, not this one. Like, why are we guessing on these guys?
I don't know. Everybody's saying love Winslow, love Drummond. He owns Whiteside. How does that shake out if they just don't play Whiteside?
Jones?
Huh?
Did you say Jones?
Winslow and Drummond.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I have no idea what to do here. I guess James Johnson is probably the most appealing play for me at 3,700 on FanDuel and 3,800 on DraftKings. Like, I like the idea of using James Johnson. He could play 8 minutes.
Right.
It wouldn't shock me. I don't know what to do anymore. This game seems to fit James Johnson. One, from a guarding Blake perspective, like Blake will beat the shit out of Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah, and so I mean Johnson played against the Bucks. It was that to me is like the prime test of what are they going to do with James Johnson. And he played 2 minutes and 16 seconds in the second quarter. So that's 2 minutes and 16 seconds more than he normally plays in the second quarter, but that's still not doing anything for you. Like if you repeat, if you project that game to stay close, he gets to like 24 minutes, which is whatever.
Winslow in my initial cash build.
That seems like a mistake.
It does.
Maybe on FanDuel where he's a small forward. Like I don't have that pricing up, but 6,800 on DraftKings, I think
he's 7K.
There's a lot. If Josh Richardson's cheaper than Winslow, he should be there probably.
I agree. Look, I like Justice Winslow. I like the way that he is playing. His minutes are about as steady as anybody's minutes are going to be on this team right now with Dragic out. That said, that's still a real difficult proposition for me in a very unappealing game. I hate this team. I hate them so much. All I want them to do is make a damn trade.
Of like 6 of their guys.
Yeah.
I am enjoying the Deion Waiters versus Eric Spoelstra stuff now.
Yeah. Waiters is sick of it.
Did you see Spoelstra's response?
I didn't.
Oh, he had a team meeting and then I guess after told the media. But basically had a team meeting after Deion Waiters came out and said that he's been patient long enough and he needs more playing time. And Spoelstra was like, well, that's not the way to get it. And had like a meeting about it and then told the media.
That's fantastic.
He was like, this is a different team than it was before, and now he has to do shit differently and earn playing time.
I love it. I got nothing here. I don't have anybody else to talk about in Miami. I can't imagine I'll have any of these guys with any sort of volume outside of Josh Richardson.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull up Winslow here, so I got it. So in the last 10 games, which I think is since Dragic went out, Winslow's averaging 1.09 DraftKings points per minute. That's obviously really good, but if you project him for 32 minutes at that rate in like a neutral matchup, you're getting like 35 points. At 6,800, that just isn't a top play.
Yeah. God, that's silly. Heat, fix yourselves. You got too many bodies. Sell off parts. The Orlando Magic hosting the Brooklyn Nets. 108 implied total for the Magic, 109 for the Nets. The Nets, 1-point favorites in Orlando. Break up the Nets, I guess. I don't know. We'll start on the Magic side. 9,500 for Vooch on FanDuel, 9,400 on DK, $41 on Yahoo. This feels like a really nice spot for Vooch.
Yeah, that seems like an understatement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love Vooch here. I love Vooch pretty much every slate, but this is just a great spot for him. The price tag's still very affordable. I'd rather pay 94 for Vooch than 84 for Drummond, assuming that ownership doesn't do something crazy.
18% for Vooch on FanDuel, 15% on DraftKings. I think that's
fine.
That's the high end, but
yeah,
it's also exactly where it should be. He's my number 2 center on FanDuel, behind just DeMarcus Cousins, which we'll get to. Don't really know what to do with that kind of information, but Vooch is the one that you would want from like, this guy's going to play 30 plus minutes type scenario. Right. Yeah, so break me off a piece of Vooch. Aaron Gordon, 7,200 on FanDuel, 6,400 on DraftKings, 27 on Yahoo. That $6,400 price tag on DK is also bringing with it 26% expected ownership. How do you want to manage Aaron Gordon tonight?
I mean, I like him. I think that he's a guy that you should probably be playing in cash over Justice Winslow.
Yeah.
But, I'm not normally on Aaron Gordon just because he's normally priced correctly. But this is a really good spot in a couple of ways because, for one, Brooklyn's a really bad rebounding team. Gordon, we know his ceiling games normally come when he's knocking down his shots, obviously, but also grabbing extra rebounds. And, on top of that, it's a nice price tag. He's playing huge minutes. There's no reason for me not to like Aaron Gordon here. He's grading out a lot better than he normally does for me.
I'm a big Aaron Gordon fan here today. Did he finish like really poorly in this last game out?
I'm trying to.
I remember people bitching in chat, but there's so much bitching sometimes that it's hard to keep track.
Well, plus also Aaron Gordon's one of those guys that
there it is.
He didn't really do it in this game, but he frequently like starts out hot or starts out slow, and one way or the other, like one extreme or the other, and people like lose their minds, and then he just ends up having the same game that he always has.
Yeah, he had 25.6 fantasy points.
Yeah, in overtime.
Not playing Aaron Gordon, he effed me over in Slack. So that's what I love to hear. Play Aaron Gordon more than went for 42 fantasy points in the 2 previous games. I guess if he goes for 25 in one game, he can never be good again. Fantasy right works, right? Am I getting it?
Yep. So yeah, I mean the minutes have been there too. Like he played 37 minutes in overtime last game, but he lost 3 minutes to fouls at the end of the first half. So even there, that would put him, at 35 minutes. And normally he's been playing 36 or 37. So I really like him.
Eric, this is going to be something interesting to touch on, and it's a bigger picture thing. Eric says, you mentioned wanting Gordon more than Winslow in cash, and he said Gordon feels more volatile than Winslow. Don't get that. To me, that's a common misconception, that volatility is not something that should be in cash.
For one, I think it depends on what you're playing. Like head-to-heads, you should still be embracing volatility. 50-50s, not as much. But I think in 50-50s also, you shouldn't be taking huge stands. Like I'd be shocked if Justice Winslow is not like if Justice Winslow is even close to his own as Gordon. So if they project similarly in 50-50s, you should be taking the guy that is more popular.
Right.
Also, I'm not sure that's true about the volatility, but
right.
Yeah.
Look, here's the key thing, and it's something that I know you and I both look at a lot. Most of these guys aren't like 20 or 40 type guys. The standard deviations on most of these players are pretty similar. Like it's like the gap is, there's a high end and a low end for sure, but there's not, like, Aaron Gordon's not a guy, he's not going to just not be on the floor. Like the piece that's most important to me is the fact that I expect him to play 36 minutes. Whether he has a low standard deviation or a high standard deviation of his scoring isn't really changing the way that I would build a cash lineup. At least not for Aaron Gordon.
Right. I was going to say that too. Like Winslow projects to play 32, maybe 34 minutes. Gordon projects to play like 36. Winslow's playing the Pistons. Gordon's playing the Nets. There are things certainly that are coming into play more before I start worrying about fractions of a difference in standard deviation.
Yeah. When push comes to shove, I want guys that are efficient to their salary, and that's more important to me than anything else.
And Gordon's cheaper.
Yep. That too. It's not this isn't an indictment on Justice Winslow or like an advocation of Aaron Gordon or anything. More of a big picture thing. These just happen to be the two names in the example.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of times what happens is And I don't play cash games that much, but when I do kind of switch over and play cash, I'll find myself getting into a trap where I'm like trying not to make mistakes, and that kind of is what it reminds me of. Where it's like I'm trying to roster guys that have like a lower chance of sucking, and what ends up happening is you just roster a bunch of guys that have like no upside and just end up being completely mediocre, and you lose. It's And you hear people talk about cash plays like that too, where it's like, oh, well, I don't think this guy has upside in tournaments, but he's fine in cash. And for the most part, that's just completely wrong, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you completely. Couldn't be more on the same page with you. Speaking of minutes in this game, we're going to need to talk a little bit about Never Google. Evan Fournier has been soaking up a ton of playing time. I've got him in for 36 minutes right now. 5,900 FanDuel, 5,500 DK, $13 on Yahoo, which is, he's probably one of the better plays of the entire slate at $13 on Yahoo. So, what do you want to do with Never Google?
Yeah, I have him. So on DraftKings, I have him behind Vooch. I have him behind Gordon, but I still have him as a plus play. I have him for 36 minutes as well. He's a guy that is normally not going to give you some monster game, but the price tag I think is just too low for his increased minutes in this spot.
Yeah, he scares the shit out of me. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, he's never fun. Like you roster him, and then you just slowly watch your points accumulate, and it's what I imagine like long-term investing feels like how just boring it is. Like it's going to get there, but it's just so miserable to watch.
Yeah. He is fourth in shooting guards for me. Hits the top four 27% of the time. He's in kind of like a pretty big group of mid-20s guys. Only Wiggins, DeRozan, and Donovan Mitchell are ahead of him. But yeah, I want some Fournier for sure. 5% ownership on FanDuel, 9 on DraftKings. That's just too low.
Yep.
That's the main takeaway for all of this. If he's 5%, right now I'm looking at something along the lines of like 12 to 15.
Yeah, that seems about right.
I just want to get some leverage on the field. Fournier and trade rumors to Dallas for DSJ and Wes Matthews. Cool. I get it. Do you want anything else from Orlando?
Not with any like regularity. Terrence Ross's price has come up high enough where you need him to have that, excellent shooting game just to be happy that you played him. DJ Augustine is perfectly mediocre at 4,800.
$3,700 Isaac.
Yeah, I was actually going to say it's an appealing spot for Isaac for all the same reasons as Aaron Gordon. He obviously doesn't have the offensive upside that Gordon does, but he does have block upside. He can rebound, pick up defensive stats in the spot. So if depending on what value opens up, I think Isaac's a perfectly reasonable play. Just keep your expectations in check because he's normally not the guy that's going to go out there and like 10x his salary.
Right. I know Sheck West is probably really happy about it. Mo Bamba might be back today.
There we go. A music reference that I actually get. Yeah,
doesn't matter. No. You're not playing Bamba, but just in terms of guys on the floor.
Yeah, like if anything, it maybe takes a couple of minutes off of Vooch. Not that he needs all of his minutes in this spot.
Right. Go to Brooklyn. D'Angelo Russell, 7,700 on FanDuel, 73 on DK, 31 on Yahoo. Only 11% ownership, 10 on DK. I'm cool with having some Russell as per usual.
Yeah. So this is. You mentioned the comment about Aaron Gordon having a bad game and not wanting to roster him. Russell after bad games is just I think such a good spot in tournaments because he's just an incredibly up and down player in terms of his playing time and obviously his scoring. So he's coming off of a game against Houston where he disappointed. Spencer Dinwiddie went absolutely nuts, all coming in the fourth quarter and overtime essentially.
I'll take it though. Welcome back, Spencer.
Yeah, it was great, but the point being there, like Russell didn't close the game. He didn't play in overtime, but there's nothing new really to learn from that. We've seen his rotation be like that all season long, where when he's not really playing well, he loses minutes. When he's playing well, he gets minutes. Whenever guys like that, their ownership comes down because they're coming off of a bad game, that's when I really love going to them. So I'll go right back to Russell here. I'll project him for 30 or 32 minutes. Napier being back certainly puts him on the lower end of his minutes projection.
Do you
But
see
I think
Napier's minutes in the last game?
I did not.
Like 8 or something stupid?
He played in the second quarter, and that's it.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah,
Yes.
he played 8 minutes. I had him in like a few lineups on Yahoo.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I mean, he'd been playing he played 20 something minutes for a week and a half before that, not because of like anybody being out.
Right. Yeah, they were playing the 3-guard lineups.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, cool. He was, $10 or $11 or something on Yahoo. I was like, oh, this is perfect. No one will touch him. Great spot. I was like, oh man, Napier really sucked. Oh, he didn't play essentially.
He actually scored a point per minute.
Thanks. Helpful. Super helpful. Do you know the Nets right now are projected on 538 to be the 6th seed? I wouldn't even have said in the playoffs. I didn't know they were 500.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Anyway, sorry, I just had it up here.
Yeah, so I think Russell's still a good play here. He comes with obvious risk, but he's good.
Jared Allen, 7,200 on FanDuel. No, thank you. 6,100 on DK. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. He's fine there. So the last couple of games, the minutes have been really nice. He played, I think, 32 or 33 2 games ago. Obviously had that monster game against Houston where even without overtime, he would have played 38 minutes. So that's nice. Hopefully that continues. Don't completely throw out that for the most part this season he's been playing like 26 to 28 minutes a night.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and give him 32 here.
Whoa, really?
I mean, trying to ride the wave, I guess. Like, I think he's completely if he's playing well, he gets more minutes, but it's nice that we're at least seeing Atkinson give him those minutes.
Yeah, I stuck with like the normal minutes projection here. So you must love him if you give him 32 minutes.
Nah, I have him as like slightly positive at 6,100.
Let me move him. Let me bump him a little bit. I want to see what it does. I would be shocked if he played 30 minutes here.
Why?
Okay, shocked is not the right word. I don't expect it to suddenly be that different. Yeah, I mean, he becomes feasible on FanDuel and really nice on DK.
Yeah, okay. So my rates on him were off, and I think so. 30 is probably where I'll actually put him because I don't want to completely over project him, but there's no reason that he loses minutes to Ed Davis.
But
and the fact that we're seeing that
minutes?
finally stop.
Since December 19th, he's played over 30 minutes 4 times. Twice was 31, and then he just happened to play 43 minutes in this most recent game.
Right, but I'm saying, like, if Jared Allen's not in foul trouble, the Nets should be playing Jared Allen over Ed Davis.
Yeah, I agree, but they've never been doing that.
Yeah, but maybe they're starting.
Okay, I mean, if that's the logic, then we don't have to keep going.
I mean,
I don't disagree that they should play Jared Allen more, but I don't think they make those decisions based on our show.
No, but I don't think 30 is like crazy anyway.
I don't disagree with that.
32 is definitely recency bias and me being pissed at myself for not having him last slate.
Okay, as long as we could admit that, that'll make me feel better.
Yeah, no, but 30, I mean, like, I got to go back and forth. For most of the season, I've been going back and forth between 28 and 30 for Allen. Recently, I had dropped it to, like, 26 because he just wasn't playing. Yeah, I don't know. Like,
that's fine. We're on the same page now. I got him in for 28 with upside. Yeah. We'll say that. And you and I both need to be at least fired or fined because we went through Marc Gasol and didn't call him Big Burrito once.
Oh, man. I'd already forgotten.
Yeah, so did I. Chat mentioned it. And I was just like, well, how do we forget already? There's just too much going on, guys. We process so much on a day-to-day basis that sometimes you got to push out the good stuff. So apologies. I'll make sure that that never happens again. Because honestly, I would prefer to call him Big Burrito over Marc Gasol for the rest of my life. I want to get a Marc Gasol jersey that just has burrito on the back. There we go. Courtney Fenton here making the chat better. Josh Engelman sucks. Bringing the heat at 10 a.m. Can't disagree though. So there's that. Dinwiddie 6K on FanDuel, 57 on DraftKings, $17 on Yahoo. Much like every other day, I will have some Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah, much like every other day, I'll probably have more than I intend. But yeah, it's he's coming out. So on DraftKings right now, he's coming out as like perfectly average for me. It was nice to finally see a good game from him.
Yeah.
Not that it like he was awful for like 3 quarters and then just went nuts.
Yeah, he's
Like,
he's 10th for me right now, so it's kind of just meh.
Yeah, he's whatever. I'm sure I'll get some, but it's not a priority. Yeah, I had sent a message to a friend like literally 2 minutes into the fourth quarter, like looking at my lineups, and I'm just like, all right, I need Dinwiddie like to get good in a hurry or his price to go up in the future because I'm losing way too much money on this shit.
Sure.
And then he just scores like 40 fantasy points in a quarter.
So I had some trouble projecting out the rest of this team, mostly because of these last 2 games and the increased minutes. How are you managing Kurucs and Carroll and Davis? And I think Travion Graham probably needs to be talked about, even though he's one of the worst DFS players on a per-minute basis.
Yeah, I mean, I think that so Hollis Jefferson only played 7 minutes last game. That is concerning as far as like trying to glean anything.
Yeah, I put him in for 14 today, but clearly that's just a dice roll.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna come in around there too. So I mean, Kurucs played 30 minutes without overtime. Harris played 38. So I would take minutes. I would take some. I'm gonna go with like 34 for Harris. Carroll played 30. I'm comfortable there. I'll probably cut Kurucs to like 26, and then give the rest to Hollis Jefferson.
So I went. We're kind of doing the same stuff. I went to 31 for Joe Harris, 28 to Kurucs, 28 to Carroll, Ed Davis at 16, Hollis Jefferson at 14, Travion Graham 23, and unfortunately, I'm only getting Napier to 12.
Right. Hang on. So you went. Oh wow! Well, what did they do last game? Ed Davis. Oh, Al played the entire half, but yeah, I was just realizing that Davis didn't play.
Yeah, he played 7 minutes.
Yeah,
that's just not going to continue. Like, it would shock me if Ed Davis became an 8-minute a game guy.
Oh yeah, me too.
And I don't know what they're doing with Travion Graham, but
I didn't think he was going to start last game,
and yet he played 32 minutes.
Yeah,
more than Russell, more than Kurucs, as many as Dinwiddie. His minutes are probably the most interesting because it appears that he's getting quite a bit of them, and there's really not a number of minutes they could give him where I'm like, might get some Travion Graham tonight.
right. Yeah, and to be fair, he played 26 or 27 in regulation.
Sure.
Just for projection purposes.
Right. So yeah, I like I said, I have him at 23. That could easily be higher. I'm not really comfortable with anything here. Joe Harris is probably the most likely to maintain a high minutes number, but even still, he has not just been like blowing 30 out of the water. So 31 felt okay. If you have a particular guy that you like, you as the collective listening, Harris, Kurucs, Carroll, like if you think one of those guys gets more than others, feel free. You can get them to be reasonable value plays. I don't have anything else here.
Me neither.
Alrighty. Hit that like button while you're here. Let's get all those likes so that I can't Courtney, whatever the hell your name is, rub it in his or her face. Gender ambiguous names are tough for me. I don't want to go anywhere like that. So yeah, just let them know how much we suck by hitting that thumbs up button. Minnesota and San Antonio, 112.75 implied total for the Wolves, 111.75 for the Spurs. So just a 1-point favorite for Minnesota. We'll start on that Minnesota side. Karl-Anthony Towns, 10-9 on FanDuel, 9,700 on DraftKings, 50 burger on Yahoo. 4% ownership for Towns at that price tag is on FanDuel at least, 14 on DK. If he's 4% owned on FanDuel, sign me up for some Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yeah, I mean, with everyone being back, it's obviously a little bit less appealing for him, but he's still the guy here, and he's still playing big minutes. I think that so he's projected for similar ownership to Vooch on DraftKings, right?
Towns at 14, and then Vooch is at 15.
Yeah, I think they're really, really similar. It's a better spot for Vooch, but you're getting more minutes for Towns, and obviously he's the focal point of this offense too. So yeah, I like the DraftKings price quite a bit on him.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm a fan. I just at 4%, he comes in for me 33% of the time in the top 3 at center on FanDuel, which is nuts to think about. That's a big number. So, being at like 10% Towns, I think is a really nice spot today.
Yeah.
Wiggins, 6,700 FanDuel, 6K on DraftKings, 23% expected ownership on DraftKings. How do you want to manage Andrew Wiggins here?
He doesn't seem great here. Like the minutes are nice, but with everyone back, I expect him to take somewhat of a hit. I mean, he's still a scoring dependent player. Now you have Derrick Rose back out there. You have Teague. You obviously have Towns still. I don't know. He seems like if I get there, I get there, but not a guy that I'm going to prioritize.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing how you get to 23% Andrew Wiggins on purpose today.
Yeah.
I'm not like, he's fine. He's
right.
Playing big minutes, and if he's going to be up in the 30s at close to a point per minute, I understand, but that just seems unnecessary, especially with the amount of fantasy points to go around in the 10-30 games. Teague, 6,200 FanDuel, 5,900 on DK, $20 on Yahoo. 28% expected ownership on FanDuel, but I sort of get it. How many minutes do you have Teague playing today?
30.
Yeah, so do I. I think that's a really nice spot for Teague, but not at that ownership.
Yeah. Yeah, Teague is like I'm right around I've been less than a point per minute playing 30 minutes.
Yeah, he comes out as the number 1 point guard for me.
What'd you say his price was on FanDuel?
62.
Okay, yeah, that seems fair.
Yeah, I like it. I can't get behind 28% ownership, but I will. He's got one of the better spots of the day. What are you doing with Rose? Because I think he's the guy that's up in the air the most. 6,200 FanDuel, 59 on DK. I've got him in for 28 minutes. That number could go higher than that, and it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, 28's where I have him. I think that seems appropriate. Like he played right around 13 or 14 first half minutes last game. If you just map out their minutes and give guys where you're comfortable with them playing, you kind of end up just 28 fits perfectly for Rose. So yeah, I mean that's where I'm coming in at. He obviously is capable of just kind of taking over a game offensively, but from a medium projection standpoint, I don't think I really end up getting there all that often at that price tag in this matchup.
Yeah, I agree. Somebody just said, why is Teague more appealing than Rose?
I have them identical.
I have Teague pretty aggressively ahead. 31 for Teague on DK, 27 for Rose. Teague with 2 more minutes.
I have Teague at 28.5, Rose at 27.5 on DK.
Okay. Look, I know people love recency and all that, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Derrick Rose does not continue to shoot 46.7% from 3 as a guy that has not shot 30% or higher from 3 since 2013-14. I just don't see that sort of continuing, and I think that his current rates are a bit aggressive. I can't do it. Any Taj or Okogie or anything else here? Luol Deng got dusted off the past 2 games.
Yeah, that's what happens when you lose by 40. I mean, what is Gibson still 4,400 on FanDuel?
45.
That's fine. I mean, he should get the bulk of the minutes as long as this game's competitive. I don't see them matching up with Saric against Aldridge or Gay. That doesn't seem like it would go well. So you should probably get 28 minutes from Gibson here. It's just a matter of it being Taj Gibson.
Eric S. says, good point to discuss, though, Josh. When are we beyond the point of they will regress? Derrick Rose will regress. There is no reasonable scenario in this entire league where Derrick Rose shoots 46% from three. It's not. I would expect Kyle Korver to regress from 46%, and well, he's fantastic at it.
Yeah. I mean, and you can mathematically figure it out. I don't know the answer, but yeah. I'm confident that it's greater than however many 3-pointers Rose has taken this season.
Yeah, like even if you want to say he's a 38% 3-point shooter now, which is still, in my opinion, higher than you should project him at. That's a dramatic shift in like the amount of fantasy points he'd put up on a minute. So just that. There's no Rose hate. I'm very happy that he's playing well. I don't feel like near 50% 3-point rate is sustainable for a guy that's never been a good shooter. That should not be a hot take.
Yeah, so he's shot 1,364 threes in his career. He has shot 116 of them this season. For his career, he's at 31%. For the season, he's at 45.7.
Yeah.
It's not even to say he didn't improve. It's hard to say with any sort. It's hard to be very confident in less than 10% of his career shots that he has jumped from like terrible to one of the best.
Yeah. It's not hate. And if he's not shooting 46% from the field or from three, then he's not a 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy. So, yeah, no hate. Big Derrick Rose fan. I'm happy that he's healthy. I'm happy that he's back. The league is a better place when Derrick Rose can be a functional basketball player. It was sad to see him be out because he was electric in his youth. Eric says, just thinking, is 45 out of 82 games a good enough sample to say it could be around 40 to 42? It's not, and it's not even remotely close. Adam went over the numbers there. Yeah. Don't look at games. Attempts are the denominator in this one. Anyway, let's go to San Antonio. DeRozan and Aldridge are the package deal at the top. DeRozan $100 more expensive on FanDuel, $200 more expensive on DK, and $1 more expensive on Yahoo. And it's going to be another day where I think DeMar DeRozan is one of the best players of the entire slate.
What the hell is wrong with him lately? That's getting really expensive.
His price isn't, but it is to our bottom lines.
Yeah, I feel like every day that I started, like I've joked a couple times about how shitty this last like week-ish has been, and DeRozan's probably the biggest contributor to that. But yeah, I mean, you kind of just have to ignore what happened in the last couple of days and keep going back. Like he sucked again in his last game, but he played 39 and a half minutes against Dallas. I don't know how he scored 14 points in 39 and a half minutes. He did, but the minutes are the key thing there. We know DeMar DeRozan's a good basketball player. We know that he normally produces at a high level.
Okay, so I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is incredible. Look, I know that he doesn't shoot a lot of threes. I didn't realize that the last time that he attempted one was December 29th, at which point he had one attempt. That is fascinating. Just zeros, just straight down the line. Holy hell. 14 points in his last two games in 79 minutes. So 28 points total in 79 minutes.
He has a 40.8% effective field goal percentage since the start of January.
Jeez.
For context, 47.1 for the season.
And look, he put up 62 fantasy points on the third against Toronto, 55 against Detroit, and 46 against OKC. Look, he's been shit for most of January. And still, 3 of those games, you're like, okay, cool. Like, if you get 46, you want more than 46 if you're rostering DeRozan, but you're very happy if you get it. 55 and 62 are premier outcomes, and that's just in January with these bagels that he's been putting up. So his price is going to continue to fall, and on FanDuel, he is now in the 7s. This is the Victor Oladipo corollary. Just,
yeah.
I think that DeMar DeRozan is the best play on FanDuel today.
Yeah, And to be fair, also, like, of these bad games, 2 against Paul George, I think 2 against Memphis. Dallas is not that excusable. Charlotte's certainly not excusable, but it's not like he's had, just cakewalk after cakewalk either.
Yeah. Air Watto says, DeRozan is awful. No chance he is one of the best plays. He has a good game 1 out of every 10. I just read off 3 of them in 10. Literally as you were typing that. I can't get away from it. At shooting guard today, I have him finishing as a top 4 value relative to his target score 48% of the time. 44% of the time, just behind Donovan Mitchell. I have all of the interest in the world in DeMar DeRozan tonight.
I'm trying to, as quickly as my computer will let me, pull up his drives per game just to see if maybe like that has changed. Like maybe he's just not getting to the rim.
Here's my thought process on what it is, just going off the top of my head without looking at any part of this. DeMar DeRozan takes more mid-range shots than basically anybody in the league. They are generally a low probability shot for you. They're not the best looks that you can get on the floor. And in a 10-game stretch, you might just miss a couple extras.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I think that's likely also. So for the season,
I do want to know what you're looking up.
Yeah. For the season, DeRozan's averaging 18.9 drives per game since, I'll take the start of January. Since the start of January, he has averaged 18.1. So he's still getting there. The one thing that does jump out is Derek White at 10.4. But yeah, 18.1 from DeRozan. We know the usage has come down a little bit as Aldridge has gotten acclimated to playing alongside him, and White's become more involved. But you're still, since the start of January, looking at like a 26% usage rate for him. There's really no reason to think that he continuously disappoints at this price tag.
Right. And he's been playing crazy minutes lately. Like, what do you have him in for today?
30 right now, 36.
Okay. I have him in for 38.
Yeah, I'll say I might go higher. Probably will go higher, actually. I just already know that I'm getting insane amounts of him.
He's been playing heavy minutes, and by all accounts, this should be a game where he plays heavy minutes. It's a 1-point line. It's a game that matters massively, just for the Western Conference. It would shock me if DeMar DeRozan didn't continue to play heavy minutes in this spot. So I love him. I love Aldridge as well, just like slightly less than I love DeRozan.
Yeah, I really like Aldridge too. His usage has really gone up over the last month and a half. We saw him deferring to DeRozan a little bit more at the beginning of the year than he is now. So yeah, I really like him too. I think it's a good matchup for him. I just have, like you said, slightly behind DeRozan.
Comes in 6th for me at power forward on FanDuel, which I think is right where he should be. 25% ownership on FanDuel leads me to believe I would be under that number. But if you were to put projections in an optimizer and crunch, LaMarcus Aldridge is going to come out more. Put it that way. I don't have a lot of interest at $33 on Yahoo for him though. Derek White for $5,900 on FanDuel or $5,600 on DK or $19 on Yahoo. Anything there for you?
Yeah, so White played 24 minutes last game, but he lost a bunch of first half minutes to fouls. He played his normal first quarter rotation, but then he lost 6.5 minutes in the second quarter. So I think you're still getting 30 to 32 minutes from Derek White. It's not nearly as appealing a play as DeRozan or Aldridge are, but I still think that he's fine. Like, he's definitely playing more minutes and playing better than we had seen earlier in the year.
He's been different. I'm a fan. I like watching him when I watch the Spurs.
Yeah.
He has no future with San Antonio once Murray gets back, but that's neither here nor there.
Heard about Murray. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah. Weird. Anyway, Rudy Gay, Bryn Forbes, Bertans. Do you want anybody else here?
Not really. I mean, they're inexpensive, which is nice. I've been getting way more Forbes than I would like recently. Hopefully that doesn't happen again tonight. But yeah, if I get some Forbes and some Gay, I'm fine with it. But the priorities here are DeRozan and Aldridge.
There you go. Anything else?
No.
Moving on. Jazz and Cavs, 114.75 implied total for the Jazz, 99.75 for the Cavs. Very big pace down spot for Utah. We'll start on that Utah side with Donovan Mitchell. $9K on FanDuel, $8,900 on DraftKings, $38 on Yahoo. He's one of my favorites today. Can't imagine not wanting to have a ton of him. He's my number one shooting guard of the day.
Yeah, obviously a nice spot. Them being at home is actually important too, because I didn't take the time yet to go and look at the last time they were in a home blowout. But over the last couple of years, we've seen Quinn Snyder give his guys fourth quarter run, unless it's like literally a 30-plus point game at the end of the third at home in blowouts. So it's a little bit safer than most 15-point spreads. Obviously, you know where the production's coming from with this team for the most part. Mitchell should play big minutes. He's involved as a passer now without the point guards out there. So yeah, I'm with you. Really, really like Mitchell.
He's there's just too much opportunity there for him, and when you're playing someone like Cleveland who gives up fantasy points 11% worse than average, you can't beat that. Is Tristan Thompson out?
Yes.
Why is that not on Roto World? And I was wondering why Ante Zizic was projected as now it is. Has been ruled out. When did he get ruled out?
Last night.
Well, thanks Roto World for not having a little tag next to his name this morning. Because I projected Tristan Thompson in, and I couldn't figure out why Ante Zizic was chalk. But that makes some sense. We make that change quick. Talk about Gobert and the rest of Utah while I do this.
Yeah, so I mean, Gobert should just go absolutely apeshit. The price tag's getting up there, but still just, against this Tristan Thompson-less front court, there's nothing for me not to like about Gobert. It's a really inefficient shooting Cleveland team, so there should be plenty of rebounds. I don't expect Zizic to do much to stop Gobert around the basket. Nobody really does. Like, Gobert makes every shot that he takes. I think that it's tough on this slate because you have Vooch at a similar price point. You have, Towns. I think I prefer Gobert to Towns at a cheaper price tag, though.
Ooh, that's probably close for me. Who am I missing here? Awaba is not back. What do you have Zizic in for minutes?
28.
Yeah, that's what I just gave him.
It doesn't feel good at all, though.
No, but he's obviously a fantastic value at that number. 34% expected ownership on DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, they're out of options there.
They certainly are, especially against Rudy Gobert. Because so what happens? What happens if Zizic picks up 2 fouls quick?
Channing Frye.
Oh God, Rudy would eat his shit up.
Like, Channing Frye might actually start. I don't know. They've done that before.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. There's only whether Channing Frye starts or not, it doesn't change what they need out of Ante Zizic today.
Right. Yeah, regardless, it's like 28 for him and 20 for Frye.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I get it. 4,200 on FanDuel. If he's really only 7% owned, he probably should be a little bit higher than that, honestly.
Well, I mean, he's $200 less than DeMarcus Cousins.
That's very true. That's a good point. That would be an interesting thought process for relative ownership between the two, because Cousins is chalk. And I probably wouldn't want to follow up that chalk, but who knows? Do you want any single Cav that's not named Zizic?
No.
I think I agree with you.
Yeah, that didn't even really take any thought. Just no.
Is this the worst spot Cleveland can be in?
Yes.
I would agree. Any Alec Burks, Rodney Hood revenge narrative for you?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want the Cavs here. Going to Utah, arguably one of the 3 best defenses. I mean, probably inarguably one of the 3 best defenses in the league. Playing in Utah just in general, ignoring the defense, is just a tough place to play. And Cleveland has the worst offense in the league. This is bad. Real bad.
There is one narrative, I guess, worth mentioning, since it was talked about after the last time they played.
Kyle Korver revenge narrative?
No, I was going to say Donovan Mitchell missed a dunk because he was trying to throw it down so hard on Alec Burks. He missed it.
So you think he's going to go after it again?
Wait, I was saying maybe he'll be less efficient if he keeps just trying to throw him in Alec Burks' face. But yeah, he talked about it after the game, was just like, I saw Alex standing there and I just got a little too excited and I missed.
Chris Garofalo says, wait, no one's usage goes up with Tristan Thompson off the floor? More often than not, you're going to see people's usage go down if Tristan Thompson comes off the floor.
Yeah, Tristan Thompson's like a 17 or 18% usage guy.
Yeah. You got to think about who they're putting back on the floor in place of those minutes. And more often than not, when you replace Tristan Thompson, you're probably replacing him with someone who has a higher usage rate. They are worse with Tristan Thompson off the floor because he's better than these guys. But from a usage perspective, you got to think about what's going on and what's coming off.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you give Fry 20 minutes with Zizic getting 28?
Exactly.
I have Fry at 15 right now.
Yeah, I have him at 20.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't think it matters in any way, shape, or form.
No, neither do I. I mean, when Tristan Thompson, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. I don't know who to take them from. I don't care who gets them. None of these guys are playable outside of Zizic. You're not getting 20 minutes of Channing Frye and thinking, like, can't wait to jam this dude in. And I don't think that he has to play, I don't think that those two guys have to be the only guys that quote-unquote play center here.
No, they don't, because they're both going to be useless anyway, so who cares?
Yeah.
You could give Channing Frye 28 and Zizic 20, and I think I'd still end up with more Zizic.
Same. All right. Finally, we get to the real meat of this slate. Clippers and Golden State Warriors. 117.75 implied total for the Clips. 123.75 for the Warriors. To Nelson 3 in chat is very wrong. Boogie will not be 10K in 2 weeks. I'd bet just about anything on that one.
I'd take the under on 10K.
Over?
Under.
Oh, yeah. So would I. He'll never get to 10K this season.
Oh. I thought you said the guy in chat said that he will not be 10K. And
he will be 10K in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
0% chance.
Yeah, I thought you had lost your mind.
Yeah, he will not be playing 30-something minutes to justify a 10K price tag.
With Steph Curry and Kevin Durant standing around watching.
Right. Jesus, those guys are barely 10K.
Right. Yeah, like if you put Steph Curry or Kevin Durant on like the Kings team that Cousins was on, or the Pelicans team, like they would have been 12K guys also.
Yeah, he won't sniff 10K. I'd be shocked if he played 30 minutes in a regular season game.
I would guess you get him up around, and this is just total without much thought going into it outside of the last 30 seconds. Like 8K, 8,500?
At maximum.
If he's like actually himself, that's not even factoring in that he legitimately could be a shell of himself.
Yeah. The minutes are the piece of this. He's not going to play big minutes. Like, he's just not in the regular season. They might stretch him out in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, Kevon Looney was playing 26 minutes a night. He should at least get those.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying he shouldn't, but like, let's maybe let this dude work his way back from a fucking Achilles injury. He wasn't just like hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he gets the 8K, that would honestly be even surprising to me. The minutes won't be there. It's not important. We'll talk about the Clippers first. Really nice spot, I think. I don't normally say this, but 7,800 on FanDuel, 7,100 on DK, $29 on Yahoo. I kind of like Tobias Harris today.
Yeah. 71's really nice on DraftKings. Should play a bunch of minutes. Yeah, I like all these guys, but yeah, I like Harris.
I do too. Yeah. Harrell, 8K on FanDuel, 72 on DK, 27 on Yahoo. There's just something about this that makes me really want no part of Montrezl Harrell here.
Really? I love the DraftKings price.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not so I'm ignoring like what I'm seeing. I understand, he grades out pretty well. This feels like a bad spot for Harrell.
Yeah, I mean, Golden State's good defensively,
Yeah.
but Montrezl Harrell's also a monster, and it's a super fast-paced game. I can see not paying 8K on FanDuel, but I don't know, 7,200 on DraftKings I think is really, really nice.
I think we're getting trolled. You guys don't factor in how many assists this man is going to get by passing from the post. I want to jam this microphone up my something. I like Gallo quite a bit at these cheap price. I can't with this guy. I like Gallo quite a bit. Like Harris and Gallo are my two favorite pieces of this game.
Yeah, Harris, and Gallo for me, and then Lou.
Lou's too expensive. $23 on Yahoo though, very appealing.
Yeah, I have it. Yeah, I mean, I have him as my fourth favorite Clipper behind the three front court guys.
How many minutes do you have Harrell playing?
Right now, 30, but I'm bumping it to like 32 probably.
Okay, I'm at 29. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little pessimistic on Harrell.
I'll probably leave it at like 30 just because I don't need 40% Harrell.
You don't?
And yeah, I mean, the minutes are still obviously kind of tough to completely count on, but certainly trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm going to give him another minute here.
I'll end up at either 30 or 32.
I got him at 30 now. All right, let's go to Golden State. We'll start with the core four. Durant, Curry, Draymond, Clay. I like Durant and Curry quite a bit on FanDuel. They are at 22 and 20% ownership, respectively, so that tempers expectations for me. I will certainly work through Durant, Curry, and Draymond on Yahoo. Draymond only $26. As per usual, Clay is just a guy that I would want a little bit of and can't prioritize. How do you want to handle all of the big four?
I'm scared of them just because I have no idea what to expect from this team right now. But yeah, I mean, I think the price tags are perfectly fine in the spot for Curry and Durant. They're not being staggered anymore, which does hurt their individual production a bit on a permanent basis. They've been very good as a team doing it this way, but it's not great for them from a fantasy standpoint. It is great for Clay, who now goes out there and plays with the second unit, by himself, basically. So yeah, I mean, whatever I get from these guys, I'm perfectly happy with. I do think they're too cheap. I think this is the most appealing game of the night.
Any guesses on Durant and Curry's ownership on DraftKings?
Higher than I end up with.
I doubt it.
No.
I mean,
single digit.
Yeah, 7 apiece.
Oh, yeah, I'll end up over that probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say pretty sure I'm right here.
I like always end up on their weight on Golden State guys, but I guess that's not going to happen today.
There we go. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. $4,600 on FanDuel, $55 on DK, $20 on Yahoo. We're all over the map. How would you like to manage Boogie Cousins?
I have no idea.
Let's
honestly,
start
no
here.
idea.
What do you have him projected for in minutes?
Just trying to figure that out. I'm thinking like 22, but I'm seeing like 16, 15.
Yeah, I have him in for 20 right now, and the more I think about it, I feel like 2 8-minute stretches feels more realistic.
Yeah. I don't disagree. But
He is
I also
starting,
really
evidently.
Yeah, he's starting, and that's the thing. So, do they play him 2 8-minute stretches, or do they play him like an 8-minute stretch and then a 3 or a 4-minute stretch?
I don't know. I would be very surprised if he plays more than 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's say that we know he's playing 20. At $4,600, what sort of performance do you expect? I have him at 1.3 fantasy points per minute right now. That feels aggressive to me.
Yeah, it feels aggressive just because we've seen it So not even thinking yet about this specific team and how they're going to work together. Just go back and think about all the times that you've added a superstar to a team that already has superstars, and how disappointing it always is for like the first 10 games or so.
Yeah.
Then you, and in those cases, we're talking about healthy superstars that aren't coming off of torn Achilles, that are still definitely legitimate superstars, which may not be the case for Cousins. Um, so yeah, I think that seems aggressive.
Does this sound aggressive? 34% expected ownership on FanDuel.
At that price tag, not really. I mean, center pricing is just so good on FanDuel, like 4,600. I definitely would expect to have more boogie on FanDuel than I have on DraftKings, even though on DraftKings I can play him at power forward.
If DeMarcus Cousins is owned in the 30% today, I think that people are making very big mistakes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Really?
He's so cheap on FanDuel, where centers there's not a lot of good centers on, like, good center plays on FanDuel.
What do you have him projected for?
If I have him at 20 minutes, I get that seems wrong. Um, like initially it gets 30 points, but that seems high.
I would agree that that sounds high. I knocked back his usage because he's not going to come out here with a 30% usage rate.
Right.
So I dialed that back. I knocked back fantasy points per minute just because I can't assume that he's going to just be the same guy as well. He grades out really well. I have no doubt that he provides value. The key thing that I think we need to remember in terms of like these percentages that we'll talk about, there is a very tiny right tail for him because there are no additional minutes. He's not playing 30. He's not just soaking that shit up. Like there's a wall on his upper bound because he just physically can't do that. There is no extra for him.
Right. So I agree with that, and that's why I don't think I'll get too much on DraftKings. My argument on FanDuel is what else it gets you. I mean, if you just look at, like, just looking at the center pricing, you have him and Zizic, at basically the same price point as viable, good plays. The entire mid range is basically dead. You get to $9,600 Drummond, 10-5 on Gobert, 11K on Towns, 95 on Vooch is nice. But outside of Vooch, like, all those prices suck.
I don't disagree, but if DeMarcus Cousins is 34% owned and we project Ante Zizic at 7, I don't even think it's close that you would want to have more Zizic than Cousins.
Okay, that's fair. It's just such a bad. It's such a good spot for Cousins too, and such a bad spot for Zizic. But
I can't justify Cousins in his first game back from an Achilles injury being 5-1 on Zizic in ownership.
yeah, I mean, I agree. I have him projected almost the same.
Like I like the idea of having some Cousins because of the salary savings at center, but I'd probably rather have like 14% of him or something instead of 30 and change. Because by putting in Cousins, that means that you are not getting Marc Gasol, who we liked at 7,200. We haven't talked about Julius Randle or Yusuf Nurkic yet. The Vooch price at 9,500 is high, but I think it's appropriate for his matchup. Towns is expensive, but there's also not another center on the slate that has his ceiling. To allocate a third of your lineups to DeMarcus Cousins in this spot seems like lunacy to me.
Yeah.
His ownership is going to be very interesting to see. And obviously, there's more variability on what we project his ownership at than there are on normal guys on a given slate. He could come in at 15 or 50, and neither of those numbers would really shock me just because of his name.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. This is like, to me, this is one of the most difficult spots all year, because there's just there's nothing to go off of in terms of how to project him, for his current physical condition, for his current role with the team, for his minutes. Like, it's just a total, like, guessing game.
Yeah, it's
Which, I guess, if you think about it just big picture, and you take DeMarcus Cousins out of it. Anytime there's a huge guessing game and someone's 35% owned, it's a pretty easy fade.
Yep, I agree.
And on the contrary, if he's 5% owned, it's an easy play. Like that's just not talking about Cousins there, just big picture plays. The more uncertainty there is, the more you should be just going against the field.
What would Cousins have to do today for you to be like, shit, I regret this? I regret not having him, I mean.
So on FanDuel, it obviously in very, very large part depends on what Zizic does.
Right.
I mean,
does it? Not if he's 7%.
Well, for me to regret, to be upset that I don't have him, like he would just beat Zizic.
Sure, I know what you mean.
For it to like
what's the dream scenario for DeMarcus Cousins? He plays
30,
20 minutes and gets how many fantasy points?
30, 32.
I would have said 40.
Yeah.
Like if he puts up 32, you don't even care that you had him.
See, but like I think you do because there's like that would be a great center play.
Would it?
Yeah. Like what other centers are getting you even remotely close to like 7 times your salary?
Yeah, but I mean, you and I both.
I know that's not the perfect.
I know what you're saying. Someone is really like.
Are they? On DraftKings, I agree. On FanDuel, like
maybe. God, this is tricky, man. I'm really interested for the rest of the day. I'm anxious for the deeper dive for live before lock.
I mean, so like if you get 30 from Cousins, what do you need from Marc Gasol to not wish you had Cousins?
If I get 30 from Cousins, that's what you're saying, right?
Right. Yeah. Cousins goes for 30, and then you have obviously wrong order, but you somehow know Cousins gets 30. What are you like sweating Marc Gasol getting?
I would like him to have 45 or more.
I kind of think there's a better chance Boogie gets 30 than Gasol gets 45.
I don't disagree. I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I mean,
it all comes down to the ownership. And I think that DeMarcus Cousins is a bad play in a tournament where he's 30-something% owned today.
I agree on DraftKings.
Well, he's not 30-something% owned on DraftKings. He's 19%.
Well, he'd be a really bad play if he was. It's really the thing that's the only reason that I don't completely agree with you on FanDuel is just the pricing on other guys.
Are there any other $4,600-ish plays on FanDuel not at center? We've got. Okay, so here's a perfect example, and they're not. This isn't a perfect straight line or anything. Would you rather have Jaren Jackson at 5,600 or DeMarcus Cousins at 4,600? Jaren Jackson right now projected for 11% ownership.
Jackson, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, Jackson.
Okay. I mean, there's not a lot else at Cousins' price. It's a lot of Bryn Forbes and Chetty and what other assholes? Royce O'Neal, Kuruks, Taj Gibson.
Right. Give me Cousins over all those guys.
I agree. Do I agree? The lack of a minute's upside for him is really a barrier that I think people are going to miss.
And I agree with you, but so where you're saying there's no right tail on DeMarcus Cousins as far as minutes go, there's basically no right tail on any of those other guys as far as per minute production. Like they all suck every single day.
Sure. Oh, and that's another variable in all of this. What is DeMarcus Cousins' point per minute rate
Yeah, see
as
that
a player right now?
tough for me.
Because I have it at 1.3, and I think that's probably preposterous right now.
Right.
And I had to bring that down a lot. DeMarcus Cousins, in my model, when healthy, is the 7th best fantasy player on a per minute basis or per possession basis, however we want to talk about that.
Probably not the case anymore,
That's a tough sell for me.
especially at this point in time. Like maybe he gets back there.
Yeah. Like, oh man, to me, like today, he's basically just JaVale McGee.
Yeah, I would be fine playing JaVale McGee at 4,600.
Would you want JaVale McGee to be 34% owned when you do that on FanDuel?
I kind of think there's better spots to differentiate.
Okay.
And again, like I haven't built lineups, but just looking at the guys around him, like you're going to have players in this price range in your lineup. You kind of have to,
I agree.
at some position, and there's just nothing here.
I'm enjoying this discussion. I don't know about you. There's not a lot of times where we have like unknowns and uncertainty and the ability to like think about this the way that we would do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm enjoying the discussion. I'm hating that I don't know the answer.
Yeah. I'm planting my flag firmly on a lot less than 34% if he's 34%. Okay. What do you think he's owned in some of the high dollar tournaments on FanDuel? Because that is generally going to be a concentration of ownership. So if we project at 34, he's probably in the 40s or so.
Yeah, I think he's higher
That would really surprise me.
Higher dollars just, and I don't even mean this negatively, but projection slaves. And Cousins is going to project well.
Yep. What would be the rate that you would have to project him at where you didn't think that he was still fantastic?
All right, so if we say like 16 minutes,
And you can give him 20 if you'd like.
so yeah, I mean, like 1.2, like that would be 24 points.
That is such a big number, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm starting to come around to your side, I think.
Well, smart. It's a good place to be. It's the thing I want to watch the most. I am not normally someone that is up at 10:30 at night. That's usually long past my bedtime, but I'm sticking around for that one. I desperately want to see this. So
Yeah, so I guess the reason I'm starting to come around to your side is just trying to think it through logically without thinking about it's DeMarcus Cousins, without thinking about I'm going to feel like an idiot when DeMarcus Cousins has 30 points in the first quarter. If you break it down by projected minutes and you break it down by points per minute, which is kind of what you just made me do. First, projecting him for 20 minutes, I think, is not a given. Obviously, like that's probably on the high end. He very easily could play less.
yeah,
But if I project him for 20 minutes and I give him 1.2 points per minute, it's useless. Like I still have to get like 1.4 points per minute to start being happy that I played him.
yes,
And you have to get the minutes. Like obviously, if he plays fewer minutes, then you need 1.6 points per minute or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, just taking the name out of it, taking a lot of the stuff out of it, and just thinking through it that way, I think I'm starting to come around to your side.
I'm holding my hands out, just soaking in all the happiness. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Look,
this game.
I'll say this much: when he puts up 30 fantasy points, people are gonna roast us or roast me in the comment section or on my Twitter. Yeah, it's an ownership play for me more than anything. Be that 10% or 15, I'm like, yeah, those seem like reasonable shares. I can't get back. I can't get on the chalk boogie train fresh off an Achilles tear. Can't do it. Alrighty. So people have mentioned I have Kevon Looney in for 18 minutes here. How do you think this impacts him? And then we can move on to this Blazers-Pels game.
Well, obviously, it depends how many minutes Boogie plays.
Sure does.
But so I think that Dre sees less time at the 5.
Yeah.
I think that Looney probably plays around like 18.
That's exactly what I have him in here. So we don't have to go much further. I have no interest in Looney. Would you rather play DeMarcus Cousins or Kevon Looney today on DraftKings?
What's Looney's price? I don't have it in front of me.
He's 4,000 on DK. Cousins 5,500.
Probably neither one. I guess
not the point of this exercise.
Man, I guess shit.
Cousins at 19% ownership, Looney at 2.
Oh, Looney.
There we go. Moving on, finally. So
any question you ask me, my answer is going to be DeMarcus Cousins until you ask me like 6 different times, and then I'll change it.
That's fair. 100 no's and a yes still means yes.
Yeah.
God, I need to read. What was that cartoon called? There's a cartoon like the mid-2000s where like historical figures were all cartoons, like Abraham Lincoln and Joan of Arc and stuff. It's really good. I don't know. Some chat remembers.
I wasn't high as much as you in the mid-2000s.
I was more drunk. Clone High. Thank you, Andrew Mock. Not Futurama. Yeah, Clone High. It's good stuff. Portland and Pelicans. Let's get out of here. With the longest boogie discussion in the world. 118.5 implied total for the Blazers. 115.5 for the Pels. Massive spot for Portland. Start with Yusuf Nurkic. 9K on FanDuel, 8,200 on DK, $34 on Yahoo. How do you want to manage Nurk here in what feels like a pretty good spot for him?
Yeah, I mean, I like the spot. It's as like a standalone play. I don't like him quite as much as some other guys like Vooch. But also not really a lot of centers to like around him in that price point. So I think I'll get there for that reason. I'm also going to be making an effort to get heavy exposure to these last 2 games just because I think every other game on the slate is dog shit. So that'll probably drive up my Nurk ownership a little bit more. The concern obviously is just that, his minutes have been steady this year, but they're steadily, 30 to 32, whereas you have other guys that obviously play more minutes. And the price tag's setting up there, but I still like the spot. I love the pace of this game. I love Nurk as a player. So I do like him here, especially on DraftKings.
I don't disagree. I think he looks really nice. He's been fantastic lately. 1.46 fantasy points per minute over his last 30 days.
Yeah, that's insane.
That is heavy. That is DeMarcus Cousins healthy territory. Dame Lillard, 9,800 on FanDuel. 8,600 on DK. Okay. $34 on Yahoo. Yes, please. The 22% ownership on Lillard on DraftKings is a little scary. The 17% on FanDuel is even scarier. I like Dame here. This did not go well for Portland last season. Is Dame looking for revenge, or are the Pels set up to fuck up the Blazers here?
I mean, I like that it's in Portland. I'm going to get a ton of Dame, and normally that doesn't happen, but I just love this game. I don't particularly love the spot for him individually. Like the backcourt defenders on the Pels are just better than the team as a whole.
Yeah,
defensively. But I really like the pace of this game. I like the opportunities for Dame. I like the DraftKings price tag at 8,600. He's projecting better for me today than he has probably in 2 months.
Okay. Yeah, I like him on DK. I can't imagine wanting to pay 9,800 for him on FanDuel. I'd rather have Kyrie for $200 cheaper. I'd certainly rather have Steph and pay a little bit more, but there's a lot of mid-tier point guard today on FanDuel that I would just rather get to and reallocate elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
I'll happily avoid 17% owned CJ McCollum on any site as well.
That seems reasonable. I want exposure to this game.
Yes.
So if I don't have game, I can see having McCollum, but
Yeah, and that Dame price for 8,600 on DraftKings is just a little too cheap. So I like that, but uh, I can't heavily prioritize these guys.
yeah.
And then
Um,
after that, I don't need a Minu or Turner. Harkless is questionable now, so that throws a wrench into things.
yeah, it's those three guys are where I'm obviously well, really two guys is where my priorities obviously are.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Pels side. $13,800 for Anthony Davis. 11.7 on DK and $59 on Yahoo, continuing to not hit that 60 number. How would you like to manage Anthony Davis in this spot and at that number?
I would like to roster him, especially on DraftKings. FanDuel, I think power forward pricing. There's some nice power forwards today.
Yeah, Jaren Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, and there's a lack of value as we kind of just demonstrated in our 30-minute boogie discussion.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little bit tougher to get there, I guess. Obviously, I love Davis. I like the spot for him. I just prefer him on DraftKings where he's more favorably priced, and you get double bonuses.
Yeah, I have him 10th on power forward on FanDuel, which feels about right to me. Get him somewhere in like the 10-ish% range. I'm fine there, but very, very hard to get a lot of Anthony Davis at 13.8. 11.7 more reasonable on DraftKings.
Yeah.
What about the rest of these guys for the Pels? Does anybody stand out for you in the Holiday, Randall, Mirotic group?
The last game was interesting in that I think Mirotic closed alongside Randall, despite the fact they were playing Golden State. That's something that I did not expect to happen. Yeah, sort of. Randall was in and out, but Mirotic was in. Um, Mirotic got 29 minutes, so that's interesting. Seeing him get into that 28 to 30 minute range.
Yeah.
Still less than 6K. It makes it kind of appealing. He's at least a guy with upside. Randall was in foul trouble that game. He only played 22 minutes, but I'm not sure how much. Yeah, so I mean that benefited Mirotic too. So I guess I don't want to project Mirotic for a ton of minutes because Randall only played 22 there. Uh, I think that you most likely get like 26 Mirotic minutes, like 32 Randall minutes.
I have 32.28 right
Okay.
now. And at that number, so we have I have Mirotic as like a reasonable value on FanDuel and Yahoo. 6,200 I think is fine to have a part of, especially in this type of game. So I'm kind of indifferent to Holiday, Randall, Mirotic in a preference standpoint, but Holiday at 16% ownership, Mirotic at 8, and Randall at 5. I would just kind of want to redistribute that in a different direction. Mirotic only 2% at 5,900 on DK. I think there's some utility there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I'll get a lot of Mirotic, but no. I agree in that I wouldn't be surprised if I feel like an idiot at the end of the night for not having Mirotic at 2%.
Yeah. Otherwise, like I kind of agree with the field. Holiday and Randall at 14 and 11 respectively on DK. Like that's where I want to be. I want to have different combinations of this game, but not necessarily one person in volume.
Yeah. Peyton once again did not close against Golden State, which is starting to get frustrating.
I have him in for 28 minutes right now. It's a little nerve-wracking. 5,800 on FanDuel, 6,400 on DK. So you're not playing him on DraftKings basically regardless, but 58 on FanDuel, you have to keep an eye on him.
Yeah, like I'll end up projecting him for like 29 minutes, I think. It's just scary because I'd be surprised if there are 0 games the rest of the year that Peyton closes. And when he does, he's going to play 34 minutes. But that's just not the route that they're going right now.
Right. You want any Eton Moore here? He has not been great lately.
He's been bad. Yeah, I mean, whatever. He's 4K. It's hard to go wrong with guys at 4K, but he does his best to make sure that you do.
Agreed. Are we done here?
Yeah.
Check those props out. You go to bit.ly/Awesemo. You could sign up for Thrive Fantasy. Dropping the link in once again, the link that I'm typing manually and not copying. You get $10 on a $10 deposit, 20 on 100, 50 on 200. What do we have here? Is there one for what we want to talk about? No boogie. That's fine.
Good. That takes 20 minutes off the show.
Alrighty, we got one that you and I are both going to pick the over for. Jaren Jackson Jr., 105 points for the over. Points plus rebounds.
18.5?
Yep. That's what you have?
No.
Yes.
I have 20.6.
I have 20.1. But yes, the line is 18.5, which means that I would love the over for Jaren Jackson. Not even going to bat an eye at it. It's a good play.
Yep.
Moving on to the next one. This one's fun. Karl Anthony Towns. Points plus rebounds plus assists. You only get 95 points for the over. Oh, God, I'm
36
mashing this.
What's this?
The line is 36.5.
I have 37.2.
Really?
Yeah, so I guess I'd have to take the under.
I have 42.6. I like Towns a little bit. That is a healthy dose of Karl Anthony Towns. What else stands out? You got any that you like?
So I'm really glad that we don't have the TMCB one from chat. Boogie minutes. That would just be miserable. It would be a fun one, but it would be miserable. DeMar DeRozan, 28.5 points plus assists.
Alrighty. Even action on both sides. The line is 28.5. I've got him at 31.
I'm at 30.3.
Give me the over on DeMar. Are you feeling confident in the points, rebounds, and assists of Drew Holiday tonight? 29.5 is the number. 105 points for the over.
I have him at... I have the over.
So do I. I have him at 31.5.
I have him at 30.9.
Okay. Close this out. One last Thrive prop.
Kevin Durant, rebounds plus assists, 13.5 over under.
110 for the over as well.
Yeah.
Rebounds plus assists. Ooh, that one's tough. I've got him at 13.1, so I would probably take the over.
I have him at 13.2. So, yeah, I would take the over also.
There we go. All right, everybody. That is it. We are done. It's a long one, but, we'd have been done 25 minutes ago if it wasn't for Boogie. Lots to plug today. So, coming up in a half hour, Awesemo Odds. We're going to talk some betting with Jason, Ben, and Jordan Frank joining us for the first time today. So, three-man band going at 11:30. We will have Alex, Awesemo Baker, Chris Spags, and Evan Silva doing On the Contrary at 1:30 today. These are all Eastern time people, the real time zone. Breaking down the two conference title games. And then we will have, Lofty will have the deep dive out in the early afternoon. Deeper dive coming at 5 p.m. live before lock. Chris Spags and Eddie Fear going from 6 to 7. Got a lot of content coming out. Adam, you got anything else you want to plug?
I'm assuming you mentioned the deep dive while I wasn't paying attention, so no.
I did indeed. I appreciate the honesty, though. Best of luck, everybody. Good luck playing your DeMarcus Cousins shares on FanDuel. All laugh to the bank with less than 30-something%. Bye, everybody.